Mr. Chairman, before you do this, we require you to come in here with a face mask. As long as you're 6 feet apart, if you want to take it off, you can take it off.
Yep. Okay, we will call the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees for July 13th, 2020 to order. If you would all please stand for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Crano?
Here.
Mr. Davis?
Here.
Mr. Kent?
Here.
All right, we will have an introduction of the board members that are here and present for you. I will start to my far left, Lori Wolf, our favorite fiscal officer. To my immediate left, Steve Kent, trustee. To my right, Ken Carano, trustee.
Okay, may I suggest, Jim, you have to leave.
Nope.
Yeah.
Jessica is here to represent.
Jessica, thank you.
Oh, Jessica's here.
Yes.
That's why I'm here.
He is here as a guest. And, myself, I am Jim Davis, Township Trustee. We are back here live, and just so everybody understands how we're going to operate tonight, it is a little bit different than we normally would. Our department heads are all here with us. We'll introduce them as they come out, but they're going to come out one at a time just so that we could allow for more of the public to attend the meeting. So thank you all for being here, and thank you all that are finally at home watching us, and of course everybody that was tuning in via telephone conference. Thank you for your understanding on us doing that and being a part of our meetings that way. With that being said, we'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes of the regular teleconference meeting of June 22nd, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Mr. Crano?
Yes.
Okay. We have the administrator's report. There is no department business for road or cemetery. The monthly report for June was submitted to us. However, Mike Dockery, our township administrator and road superintendent, is on vacation, so we won't have his report. However, we will move to the police department, and we will move to Chief Cavalier. Anything you would like to add?
Nothing at this time.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. All right. The fire department. Chief Cavalier, would you?
He reported, he says he has nothing.
Oh, he has nothing?
No.
Okay. We have nothing from the fire department. Our zoning department. Do you want to? You didn't think we were going to get through a meeting without something for him to get through. He's been like dying for this day.
He's sitting in there eating cake.
Biting on the bit, is what you call it, right?
Yeah, chomping on the bit for a meeting. So come out here and tell us about all the naughty people in Austintown that have high grass.
No standing ovation is necessary.
Gentlemen.
Allie's actually excited to be here for a meeting because she doesn't have to text me for a list of the nuisances.
All right, hello Austintown. Okay, I would ask the Board of Trustees to approve a nuisance resolution declaring the following properties public nuisance under Ohio Vice Code 505.87, 3888 Ascot, High Grass, 5328 Baker Street, sidewalk in need of repair, 236 North Beverly, junk and debris, and a fence falling down, 2343 Breezewood, junk and debris, 2444 South Campbell Niles, high grass, 354 D Hawk Drive, high grass and junk and debris, 453 North 4 Mile Run Road, high grass, 4805 Mahoney Avenue, high grass. Uh, 83 North Main Street, high grass, junk and debris, 1516 Maple Crest, high grass, 1517 Maple Crest, high grass, 3961 New Road, 682 Notre Dame, high grass, 4594 Plum Brook, junk and debris, 670 Purdue, sidewalk in need of repair, 1705, 1739 South Raccoon Road, junk and debris with high grass and weeds on the southeast side of the property around the dumpster and plaza building. 4605 Rita, junk and debris and high grass. 2500 Redgate, junk and debris. Signature Drive, vacant lot, high grass. Signature Drive, 1210 Signature Drive, high grass and weeds. 546 Southward Drive, high grass and weeds, 3909 Stats, junk and debris, 1851 South Turner, junk and debris, Winthrop Drive, 2 vacant lots, high grass, 1290 Woodhurst Drive, high grass, junk and debris within the front and rear yard. And that's all I have for this one.
Okay, a motion?
Quick question.
Sure.
670 Purdue, what's the sidewalk?
I don't know, Eric put that on. It's probably pulled up and cracked and most of the time.
Did you remember that one?
Yeah, there's one on there that if I need to put it on, I will, but I did send them a letter, give them 7 days, and 7 days isn't up, and that's the one on White Beach. That's why I didn't read it. Anyone or something, just looking at this. I read one on Redgate. I'm actually going to 2,500. I'm going to pull that off. I'm going to send that over.
You know what, I'm sorry. Take yourself and put yourself over here where we're supposed to sit. I don't want you breathing on people. Guys, I'm 70 years old, I worry about it. That's part of the reason why we're here, to protect ourselves. Go around the outside and live in that straight there.
All right, so we're removing 2500 Redgate.
Yeah, I want to send them a letter. I pulled it out of the file today, and I just remembered it.
Are any of these homes vacant?
Yeah, you can see, like the 2 on Maple Crest are vacant. The one I'd really like to tear down, but right now we don't have the funding for that. The other one, I think it's just a rental, became vacant, and I believe the landlord should know it's vacant.
Are these owned by the bank or are they owned by residents?
No, most of them are either owned by, like Ascot, that is still owned by the owner of record. I've forwarded that to the prosecutor because it's in arrears, like thousands of dollars. Same thing with Maple Crest. That's probably $15,000, $20,000 in arrears.
But the people are still living there?
No, vacant.
Or does the bank own it?
No, Maple Crest still comes up as privately owned. Same thing with like Ascot. A lot of them like Dehoff, that property owner, both her and her son are deceased. And according to the neighbors, they've been deceased a couple of years. There doesn't seem to be a will or probate. I looked on the court view. I didn't see anything for, anything that would indicate that there was probate. Baker is vacant. Let me take that back. That may not. Yeah, I think that one is. I think we may have declared that one a nuisance a couple meetings back. But that one, if that's one I'm thinking of, because there's 2 on Baker, that's one I'm thinking of. That one is owned by a bank.
Do we go after the bank or do we go?
No, the letter will go to the property owner of record, and if I believe that, if we know something's vacant, I'll run the name through court view to see if I can find out what bank is bringing the foreclosure, their attorneys, and I'll add them to the list. But sometimes you get properties that are in limbo. The people have moved out or they've lost the home. But foreclosure takes probably a year and a half. So the bank won't come in and do anything until they actually get title to the property. So in the meantime, you're in this limbo period, and that's where we come in. What we do is we put liens on the property, and then when that property changes hands, hopefully those liens are cleared and we get reimbursed. Now, if we put a lien on, say, Ascot, and I've already liened it once this year, if that should end up in foreclosure, yeah, we're probably not going to get our money back. But if you were to go buy that straight up, yeah, we would receive
The reimbursement?
yes, the title could pass until all the liens are cleared from the property. Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Motion to approve it?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Mr. Crano?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Okay, just want to advise the board of 2 things. Normally, next I would do junk vehicles, and I'm still going to continue to do junk vehicles, but I'm using my judgment on it. You know, plates that are expired for a couple of years and vehicles with flat tires, we're still going to continue on. but people have only been expired for a couple of months or 6 months. I'm still sending letters, but given a little bit more of a grace period, and just on a personal note, I did my plates through the mail in May. Mine expired in June, and today I finally got mine in the
Yeah,
mail.
they're 6 to 8 weeks behind.
Yeah, so
I
actually,
stood for almost 2 hours in line at the BMV last Thursday.
so anyways, me notwithstanding, the governor obviously has granted extensions, and like I said, we're still gonna go after junk cars or vehicles in homes that are vacant, but some of the other ones, I'm still sending letters, but I'm just kind of sitting on them and wait till, you know, the world gets back to normal a little bit. And then last, I just want to advise the board and the residents that we are obligated to issue transient vendor permits to vendors who want to canvass door to door. And I think with COVID, you obviously see all the vendor permits out in the commercial districts with all the food vendors. But we got quite a number of vendors going door to door. And a lot of them are for energy or natural gas aggregation. And once again, we've talked about this before, but if you're an Austintown resident, you're automatically in the electric and natural gas aggregation. You don't have to do anything to be put in it, and if you want to opt out, you can opt out. So when people knock on your door and they say they can give you a better deal, you have to read the fine print. It does really no good to call the township or call zoning and start yelling at us because you opted out, and then you read the fine print and found out that it's probably not a good deal for you. So anytime a salesman knocks on your door, you don't have to talk to them. You can just say, no, thank you, I'm not interested. Or you can opt out. You can listen to them, and if you want to opt out, you can. But it's your decision, and we issue a permit to them. We do a basic background check to make sure there's no arrest warrants, but we are in no way endorsing their service or their product. So buyer beware. But you know, they're out there, and you don't have to talk to them, and if you want to talk to them, you can. But you know, be careful when you opt out. Make sure you read the fine print. And that's all I have to say, unless the board has any questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, Parks Department, would you like to send a park supervisor? All right. Anything to add to your monthly report?
No, sir.
Do you want to just give us a quick 2-minute rundown of the great disc golf event we had at the park?
Yeah, sure. First, I'd like to thank Trustee Kent for coming out for the opening ceremonies.
Yeah, it was a great day. Turned out to be a really good, very educational.
Well, for the weather that we were supposed to have and did not get, it turned out to be a very good day.
I found it very interesting. I actually know a few of the gentlemen that have played in that tournament, and they enjoyed it.
They're already starting to plan for next year's tournament to be even bigger and better.
You know, may I suggest that because we're on camera, would you explain to them what that was?
Disc golf is the same as regular golf, except you use discs, frisbees that are thrown into baskets. The distance is measured in feet instead of yards, and you have different discs, just like the different golf clubs that do different things. This was our third annual tournament, and this year we actually had some pros from around the country that came and played. As a matter of fact, we had the #2 pro player in the country came and played on our course this year, and he loved our park, loved our course.
Yeah, I walked with him. He is a very interesting person.
Yeah, great guy.
Very knowledgeable.
Says he's coming back next year and bringing a bunch of other pros with him. He's going to tell them about our park and our course.
From what Zach was telling me, it was like 12 people the first year, 19 people the second, and then this year was
72.
Or 72.
Yeah, 72, and then I think they had 9 pros this year,
Yeah.
and the gentleman, the number 2 player in the country, says if he has his way, within the next year or 2, it'll all be pros at this event.
Great. All right.
Yeah. You guys did a great job laying that out as well.
Thank you.
Everything was well prepared.
Thank you again for covering that, William. Appreciate
All
it.
right. And as far as the splash pad is concerned, we want to update the public as to its operation, how we're operating out there in our playground.
Yes, every morning the splash pad and the playground is sprayed with sanitizer and disinfectants every morning, first thing every morning before anybody gets there. Picnic tables that are around the splash pad and the playground are sprayed down as well as the garbage cans. They're emptied and then they're sprayed as well.
Okay, and the splash pad operates from when to when?
From 11 to 8.
Great. And it's an opportunity for the kids to come out and have a good time and get cooled off. The weather, we've had really good weather to use the splash pad.
Yes, yeah, we've gone through quite a bit of water.
Thank you very much. Anything else for Todd?
Good. Thanks,
All right,
Tom.
you want to send in Jessica from the Senior Center?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Jessica. We are joined by Jessica Rickard, who is a representative from the Senior Center. While the Senior Center's been closed, Jessica's been busy still calling people on a daily, weekly basis, still operating things, trying to get things ready to ramp up for when the governor does okay us to open. But anything to add to the monthly report?
Yep, still paying bills, but I've been attending some conference calls with the Ohio Department of Aging and the Ohio Association of Senior Centers, and they're kind of going over guidelines of what are going to be requirements for reopening, what we have to do in order to make the place safe. We've got a little bit less we have to do because we don't have the adult daycare assisted living aspect of the senior center, so that makes it a little bit easier for us. But we're still trying to be proactive in our approach when we are allowed to reopen. Some of the things that we've got that are coming in that will hopefully be installed by the end of the month. We've got an HVAC UV light system that's going to be going into our heating and cooling units. So that's going to sanitize the air as it's circulating through the building. It's really good at killing viruses and bacteria, and it'll also do pollen, mold, so it'll be good for allergies and just general cleaning of the air. And not only will it help with COVID, it'll also help with cold and flu and other viruses and bacteria like that. So it's just something that's smart to put in now. So he should be coming in to get that in the week of July 20th. So coming up. We've also got ozone generators and foggers for sanitizing some of like the porous material and stuff that's not in the air. So that'll do tables, couches, anything like that. And we've also got more hand sanitizer stations that are going to be going in around the bathrooms and then throughout the center so that people will be able to sanitize their hands. We're also changing a couple of things for reopening. Our bigger classes like bingo and yoga, we're looking at maybe doing 2 sessions so that we can limit the amount of people at the center at any given time. Any of our classes that are requiring people to touch something communal, we're not going to be having. So obviously we can't have ballroom dance because they can't be dancing together because they can't stay 6 feet apart. We're also not having like puzzles, card games, board games, mahjong, anything like that for now. Fencing where they have to use the equipment, not really easy way to sanitize it every time somebody's used it. So stuff like that we're going to hold off on and enter into our schedule as it goes along and we figure out how we can do that safely. We're putting tables 6 feet apart, only 3 people or 4 people at the table instead of our usual 6 or 8. Making sure we don't have a lot of people in each of the rooms. Thinking probably 30 to 40 people in each room just to keep it so that people can separate and we won't have anybody real close together. And we're thinking about doing a little bit different things for our lunches. So instead of having the hot meals that we serve on Monday and Tuesday and the big meal that we usually serve on Thursday, we were thinking about maybe doing more of a cold to go. So sandwiches, cold salads, that sort of stuff, and have it available from like 11 to 2 to pick up, and they can take it home so that they don't have to eat at the center. We think that will open it up to more of the community and our members, not the community, the members of the center, that more people will be able to get the meals. And we did meet with the advisory council. The rest of the employees came in for their own time, and then I met with the advisory council, and we talked about some of the stuff that we were looking at doing. They gave some input just so that they kind of know what our thought process is going forward. And we're just waiting for the governor to allow us to open. And the number one thing we're going to be doing is temperature checks. They'll have to get their temperature checked when they come in the main door. They'll have to sign in so that I know who's coming and who's going, so we know who's at the center on any given day. And we are going to require masks, because with our population, they're all over the age of 60. So if we can minimize that, we're going to be requiring masks. No exceptions for that. So just trying to protect.
In speaking to the other groups down in Columbus, do they have any anticipation as to when this may happen?
We've had about 3 or 4 webinars where they've been discussing it. We're hoping maybe by like August 1st they'll give us a more exact date, but they don't know when the governor is going to allow us to open either. But I know a lot of the centers in that we're talking about maybe possibly having like an August 1st, if we can meet all of the requirements for separation on all that.
How are our seniors doing? You've gotten a chance to contact them via phone. I know we've been checking on them. And how's everyone doing?
A lot of them are pretty lonely, because a lot of them, this was their only form of sort of family. Their spouses might have passed away, their kids probably have families of their own, and they're not living very close by. So this was kind of like their adopted family. And now a lot of them aren't able to talk to them, or they're allowed to talk to them, but they can't see them. So they're not in the best mood because they can't go out to dinner with people, they can't talk and socialize and do all of the stuff that they're normally doing. So they're antsy, but most of them are doing pretty well. We did have a couple members pass away, but none that we know of that have passed away from COVID-19.
Well, we realize that this has kind of been a learn-as-you-go experience. It's been that for us with all the departments, but we certainly appreciate what you've done, sticking on with us here. And well, some people may think that you've just been able to sit around and do nothing. We realize that you've been quite busy with all these meetings that you've attended and phone calls you've made and interacting with our seniors. So thank you for doing that. And one last thing. We heard Mr. Fluffy, the senior center mascot, was very successful.
Yeah, we had a dog show this weekend. He got 2 best of shows.
Wonderful.
Surprised the heck out of me.
Mr. Fluffy, for those of you that don't know, Mr. Fluffy is kind of our senior center mascot.
150-pound hamburger. But yeah, I was so happy.
Congratulations, and send our warmest regards to Mr. Fluffy and tell him congratulations.
Yep, lots of pepperoni.
Yes. All right, thank you very much. All right, we will move on to our fiscal officer, Ward.
The only thing I have to say is I did get a notice that I can send in for advances for second half real estate, so hopefully that money comes in and we are good to go.
Okay, so we do have the June report, so we'll ask for a motion to accept the June report submitted to the board for review, and that is for the fund status, revenue status, and appropriation status.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Crano?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
All right, we'll move on to new business. Ironically, Darren was talking about the aggregation programs, and we have before us a motion to authorize all actions necessary to support the continuation of a governmental natural gas aggregation program with opt-out provisions pursuant to section 4929.26 of the Ohio Revised Code, directing Michael B. Dockery, Township Administrator, to execute a supply agreement with IGS Energy to continue a natural gas aggregation program beginning November 2020 through October 2023, adding 0.375 MCF to NYMEX settlement purchase price. We have all that paperwork in front of us. And it says IEC, the Independent Energy Consultants is what that stands for, is recommending the longer term, which offers to take advantage of the historically low markets. Constellation and LE both come with a balance of price versus problems, operational issues, lack of experience, and bad press, respectively. And IGS and Voluntary Energy currently have a better track record of service than the front runners. So based off of this is Mike's recommendation. And based on his recommendation, do we have a motion to authorize those actions?
So moved.
And second?
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes. May I say something, Mr. Chairman?
Absolutely.
We get phone calls constantly from people who get harassed, not harassed, just people knocking on their doors, also envelopes coming in. They want everyone to get in these different consortiums. The idea is simply this: any one of these, you could get in and you could get out. That's part of the deal with them. But the one that we have here in Austintown, anyone in there who lives in Austintown can join, but you have to join. It is not automatic. If you are already paying the Dominion or some other gas company and that sort of thing, you can move into ours. If you call the office, they'll tell you how to do it. It's a simple process. And the beautiful part about that is if you don't like it, you can get out anytime you want to. But understand, these other people come here, they pay people to knock on doors. They have all these beautiful little signs on their bodies. If somebody gives you that, if they're agitating you, you tell them, no, thank you, I don't want any, close the door, and they try to do anything else, just call us, and we'll do something about it. But they are, by law, they are permitted to come and get the license to be able to knock on doors. We can't stop them from that.
Thank you. This time we'd ask for a motion to approve increase in appropriations of the Law Enforcement Trust Fund, Fund number 2261 to $192,000.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes. All right, we have a version of public response. We have two versions, on camera and off camera. Is there anyone here that'd like to speak to the Board of Trustees? Carol.
Are we keeping?
And I was gonna say, and you can just actually stand right there if that's okay with you. And do you want to do it on camera or off camera? Okay. Actually, we'll just have you, if you'll turn sideways so that the camera can see you, and then
Perfect.
that's perfect. Okay. We need your name and address for the record.
My name is Carol Ricker. I live at 117 South Roanoke Avenue in Austintown. Last fall, I came before the trustees. I was concerned about the little cemetery on Mahoning Avenue, which is like in Wendy's parking lot. It was overgrown, and some of the big sandstone blocks were knocked over, and how I had to look at that going to work and back home, up and down the Mahoning Avenue. And now I wanted to also say thank you that it has been landscaped, the bricks have been put back and mortared in place, and the Mowerman Ladwin Cemetery, thank you, and I do too. It's very nice.
Well, don't thank us. We actually talked about this at one of our teleconference meetings. There was a group of people, Trustee Kent had.
That was the Cross Brothers Landscaping. There was a handful of people that I don't have with me tonight, but yeah, there was a handful of people that was part of that. Actually, called me, I went down and took some pictures, but they showed me what all they did and put before and after, and it was amazing.
And we will certainly recognize all these individuals. We've talked about this, recognizing the groups of people that have done extraordinary things in the time of COVID-19. We'll do that obviously again, and you can hopefully, we'll have more seats available at that meeting that you can be here and applaud them on that day. But yeah, don't thank us, but we are with you in saying it looks absolutely beautiful.
It was my first time I got brave to make a complaint, and so it was really good to see that maybe someone else, maybe something I said may have changed, or somebody else felt that that wasn't, very respectful of our, some of our forefathers from the community back then, so I would like to thank them.
Yes.
Did you want to speak on camera or off camera?
I don't care.
Okay.
Good.
Stand up, name and address for the record.
Rich Edwards. First question I'm going to ask you is, when was the last time a zoning laws were revived? 20 years?
Zoning inspector.
Yeah.
Want to get it?
Yeah. There were some adjustments from the first time I was elected again. There are some adjustments, but once again, the adjustments are very tight.
Well, two things that I'm concerned with. Austintown has had an image over the years that some people like and some people don't like. When you enter our township from the west side, and I see nothing but portable food vendors, and I come out here and I go out to the end of Old Town Road and I see a portable food vendor. I go to Raccoon Road, I see a portable food vendor. What is it doing? At one time we had 27 sole proprietorships of restaurants in township. Every one of those portable vendors, okay, are not paying property tax. And I doubt if you're getting your share of sales tax that you should. Something needs to be done, okay? And the excuses that you have is, well, we can do this, we can do that. You have a requirement, okay, to improve Austintown. That sure the heck isn't doing that. And I think you've all seen it, and it's atrocious. Second point. Ken and I have talked over the years about the situation of individuals who don't live in the township, who buy property and don't maintain it. I have lived next to a vacant field for 15 years. Ken is aware of it. This individual has chosen to care for the lawn when he wants to care for the lawn. First it was stated that you only had to go back 20 feet. Now you go back 50 feet. Then you have weeds that are 3 to 6 foot high. What the hell's in there? A whole bunch of good things. Now I've listened to the excuses by previous trustees, and I will pay for the deposition of Mr. Ditzler if I have to. You need to do something about people maintaining the yards when you have residents to either side. That's ridiculous. That should be done in a zoning. I would also encourage you, okay, to have the courage, to have the foresight, to have the insight. It's about time that you now address home rule that was addressed in 2003 that got out of hand. That's the only way that you're going to be able to stop these two things. Now, would you like to have, and getting back, would you like to have the fellow that has the upstairs lounge, and he pays individuals to come to work for them, and he pays his sales tax, and he pays his vendors, and there's a guy across the street selling food. Would you enjoy that? We need to do something. Okay? Darren, when was the last time the zoning laws were revised?
Well, since I've been back, Rich, we've revised their residential regulations. We've partly revised the sign regulations. We did major revisions to the sexually oriented business regulations. And right before I came back, the township revised or actually adopted soil erosion due to phase 2 of the EPA requirements.
So 2003, 4, 5?
No, I think that was 2007 or 2008. They also adopted riparian setbacks.
These
So
are
in terms of a major zoning revision, I think you'd have.
1987.
Yeah, probably, middle 80s.
Yeah, somewhere around 33 years. I think we've outgrown those. Okay? And I know in my case, when it comes to the property arrangement, you got $300,000 houses sitting right around here. And how are you doing? Nothing. So I ask you to do something, and I ask you to do something as soon as you can. Any questions that you have of me?
No, I'd like to make a comment if I would, Rich. You are correct in many ways, but understand, we can adjust things as we go along, as long as they stay within the realm of the state law and so on. Home rule would have been a blessing for us.
Try it, Ken.
Well, we tried it twice. It wasn't that we didn't try it. We tried it twice when I was here, and it was emphatically destroyed. I mean, it was gone.
Voted in by the 3 trustees when I was a trustee.
Yeah, that was the third time that we tried it, and then they came out and threw it out. Now they also just made state laws that give restrictions on what you can and can't do with the home rule now. You can ask Boardman and
Well,
I agree with you. I'd love to have home rule.
A basic thing, Ken,
We
you'll make
can't-
more money on it, and I'll tell you why. Every ticket that is given out on Interstate 80, okay, 70% of that amount of money goes to the Mahoney County Sheriff's, 30% comes to the township, okay? If you have home rule, it's reversed. You get 70%, they get 30.
Did that just recently change with the home rule legislation?
Excuse me?
Did the home rule legislation recently change
No.
that allowed that? Because I tell you,
No.
as you're aware, Boardman Township was the first township in the state of Ohio to adopt urban home rule.
And they still have it. They still have it.
Right, which is what you adopted by a 3-0 vote. That was referendum that the voters shot down. And I assure you, having worked out there, we adopted in '99, so approximately 10 years I worked with it, in Boardman being the first township. That scenario was not prevalent. We had nothing to do with writing tickets or collecting
I'm
revenue.
not saying that. You're getting revenue from it.
What revenue did we get?
You were getting, if you had a ticket that was done by a sheriff, okay, or state police, you were entitled to revenue from it.
I don't believe Boardman was getting revenue from
Well, I
it.
think you better check.
I don't believe that was the case.
I thank you for bringing up home rule. I was going to make the suggestion too. We are going to look at that issue again. The problem with people, the majority always were that nobody wants us to make more rules than they have now. The only problem is, like this last week, I got 3 phone calls. Phone calls from individuals who are troubling with their neighbors. And the neighbors are harassing things, but we cannot do anything about it because we don't have the right to make the laws. We have to follow the laws of the county and the state. I would love to do that. Well, make your chairman.
I'll do it.
Okay.
You can't sit by and just let things happen, guys. And this vendor situation, it's atrocious, just atrocious. That you can go to almost every street, main street in Austintown, you'll find a vendor.
There's some good and bad things about that though, Rich. The fact of the matter is those people are being they're making money because people like to stop over there. They don't have to go to restaurants.
Well, let them build a brick and mortar.
You know, the point is this, that I don't know what the laws, and we're going to talk about that later anyway, but the point is that what are the laws? If I have the property and they can come there, is there a law that stops them from doing it?
Unfortunately, Rich, once again, I fall back to High-Vice Code. The state legislature actually loosened up the regulations because for a while there, we were banning the vendors from door to door. And, you know, the code changed to make it more friendly to vendors. And, the prosecutor sent us a letter advising, hey, what you're doing isn't supported by the code, so we did overhaul it. And I hear you loud and clear, and I agree with you. We ask our commercial community to live to a certain standard, pay property taxes, hire people, and contribute to the community. And here comes somebody from Steubenville with a trailer selling.
And I'll guarantee you, you're not getting sales tax, and
Rich,
sales tax that you should.
Rich, and I'm not going to sit here and argue with you about that, but we have state legislatures, we have a governor, and when they pass the laws, and we consult with the prosecutors to what we can do, what we can't do. And I hear you, and believe me, I hear it from the commercial community. Everything you've said about the vendors, I've heard that from brick and mortar, because I eat in this township every day. And no matter where I go, somebody will say, hey, we pay real estate taxes, why do we have to compete with that? But the reality is, we're obligated as public officials to follow the law. And if those regulations could be changed to give townships a little more latitude, or just prohibit vendors, period, in residence.
Let's research home rule, Darren. Maybe there's a clause there.
Rich, you don't have to talk about it. I'm the biggest advocate of home rule. I think home rule is an outstanding tool for large urban townships. The state legislature.
Can I ask your support on home rule?
I'm for it 120%.
Mr. Davis?
Yeah.
Mr. Kennedy? Then put it up for motion, okay? You've been passed by 3 people, okay? And what's it going to take you? It's going to get it to be appealed, it's going to have to go to public vote. Will that occur? Who knows? But
Rich, I'll promise you wholeheartedly, because I have not read the home rule in the last couple of months, and I really have to read it over. But the fact of the matter is, if it still applies the way it was before, that motion will be made here.
And just keep something else in mind. Home rule is not a free tool.
No, it's not.
Like I said, Rich.
I understand.
Rich,
I understand.
Home rule is a great tool, but it's not a free tool. And I think Boardman pays the prosecutor maybe $100,000 to represent us, because once you become urban home rule,
Well, I'll call
you now
Gaines.
are your own prosecutor.
Right,
Criminals,
we can't use the prosecutor, we have to hire.
You can hire a law
We
director.
did not hire anyone when we passed it, okay?
Yeah, but there's a new
You
law.
passed it, Rick, you passed it. You passed an enabling act. And then subsequent to your passage, a petition was circulated to referendum it, which it was referendum. So from the time you passed it to that petition being submitted here at the Board of Electors, there was nothing further for you to do, because I remember meeting at Austintown Court with the court officials and with some of your employees at the time, just about how Boardman did it, how we work with the courts, and what the process is going to be. So though you did pass the enabling legislation by a 3-0 vote, you didn't actually have any codes that you would have enforced, like property maintenance, exotic, vicious dogs, those sort of things.
So we had an alligator.
Right, exactly, and
An alligator in the backyard.
in Notre Dame.
And you can't do anything about it.
Or in College Park, I think. But anyways, it never got to that because it was referendum, and then you guys just had to sit tight for the election, and of course the voters said no. And that was the 3rd time the voters said no, because I think the previous trustees had home rule on the ballot, and the only way to get home rule was through the ballot.
What?
Urban home rule changed that in that, one of the things in urban home rule was that you could take it to the ballot, or as long as the trustees were unanimous, a 3-0 vote, they could adopt it. That's what Boardman did in '99, and then you guys
Cost
did
us
it.
to put it on the ballot.
You guys did it, and then it got referendum.
What does it cost us to put on the ballot?
Oh, just a ballot initiative.
Is there any
Oh,
finance?
that I don't know. I'm not going to be.
No, there's a cost factor, but if you put it on a regular election, it's very small.
Okay.
It really was. But the fact is that we had those hearings and everything else at that time. That was 20 years ago. That it was. The fact is that I've spent a lot of time, I have a good friend who's a trustee of Liberty. They are. And that is the only bad thing about it, is that we no longer get a free type of thing we have to pay for a lawyer. That immediately takes you out of that, and you have to hire a lawyer for it.
Let me talk to Paul Gaines. He's a very close personal friend. Let me see what he has to say.
Ask him now, he's up for re-election.
Now.
too. No.
In closing, okay? Do I need to depose Mr. Ditzler to solve this individual? Because I sure will. And the reason I'm saying depose it, there was some people in this organization that said when it was changed, okay, under a previous administration, that they only had to go back 20 feet, okay? And in speaking with Mr. Ditzler, okay, he said, yes, that was passed only if there was no residential housing adjacent to it, okay? It's not right, guys. Ken, you wouldn't like it, would you?
Yeah, we'd have to just pull out what
Yeah, you know,
what
let me
the regulations were, because
because obviously I wasn't here when you were here, but then I came sometime after you left. When I came back, we were cutting both vacant homes and vacant lots. And then it got to the point with the vacant homes, we had so many that we just focused on the vacant homes, hoping that, you know, if we could keep the grass maintained and the property maintained, you know, no one would break in and basically take the copper and anything else of value. But we had so many of those, probably anywhere, some of the years I worked here, 130 to maybe 150, maybe 160 vacant homes. We stopped doing the lots just in terms of a manpower issue. And then I think a couple of years ago.
Sub it out.
That takes money, Rich. Then a couple
Wait
of
a
years
minute,
ago.
you just got $500,000 from the casino just a couple years ago.
That's,
Wait a minute.
no,
Okay,
Okay, Rich.
there is money, I will find the money in here if it needs to be that we stop that.
Okay, but Rich, let me get back to,
I'll certainly audit those books.
Let me get back.
My MBA says I think I can do it.
Okay, but let me just get back, let's just go back to the cutting of the grass. And then a couple of years ago, Trustee Carano basically echoed what you're saying right now. If you live in a residential neighborhood, and we've got a lot of lots now in older neighborhoods where we tore houses down. And when we do that, we ask the residents on each side, hey, why don't you adopt a lot? We try to get it through the land bank so a resident can take ownership, but the consensus of the board a few years ago was what you're saying. And we are seeing the vacant home problem greatly improving. So a couple of years ago, we started cutting vacant lots, and I tell you right now, I got a lady, I won't say her name, but she's been yelling at me, and we need to cut the former country gardens. We're gonna have a crew over there for a day cutting that. But she's next to it, and you got houses on each side of it on Northwest, they wanna cut, we're gonna cut it.
My neighbor has been very kind, okay? And encouragement from different ways with me, all right? Periodically, about once a month, he goes through and cuts the rest of the lawn, not all of it, but the rest of it. Okay, only to keep the whatever out, okay?
Yeah.
And he's been doing that for 3 years. Now, I don't have sympathy for some guy that I'm going to assess a charge for maintaining a lot when I see his commercials 3 times a day on TV.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like he doesn't have the money.
thank you, sir.
I'm sorry, but that's my points, and I hope.
That's why we're here.
Thank you.
No problem.
Rich, can I get your address again? Your address?
5355 Nashua.
Thank you.
All right. With that being said, we'll move on to the remarks from the board members. We'll start with Trustee Kent.
I just wanted to go back over with Todd in the park and the disc golf. I thought it was a great turnout. There was a bunch of people there to watch and compete, and it was a great day for me to learn something completely new. It was really interesting, and talking to public afterwards, it's a growing sport. So it was really great to see that happen. So
That's it. All right. Trustee Carano.
Thank you. First, we didn't introduce Dan Clark, and that's from our local, it's the Falcon, what is it called now?
Falcon Media.
Falcon Media. And he's here doing it, and it'll be back on television and so on. So, Danny, thank you for being here, okay? My comments today I thank the people that are here today and following the procedures that we have. At my age, I am very, very cautious with it. I understand those people who are younger who are not. I wish we could put masks on everybody's face for the next 3 months, and then maybe by that time we wouldn't have to breathe anymore and do this stuff. But the virus being the virus, I think when I go to Walmart's on Tuesday morning, the age group has to be somewhere in the 70s, and everybody has a mask on. Every once in a while someone doesn't, but they stay away from everybody. It's very nice. That is not the case in the afternoon and so on. The virus is not something silly. It kills people. We put a mask on not to protect me, to protect you. This mask does not stop me from getting the virus from you. It stops you from getting the virus from me. The common courtesy is simply this. You do that in the public, and if you walk by people, that means that you're protecting the other people. When you're away from each other and so on, you take your mask off and so on. It is not a dumb thing. When I see a sign on somebody's yard saying, "Go to hell, I'm not going to put any mask on," that tells me that those people are idiots. They have no concern whatsoever for anybody but themselves. It's the whole idea of putting a mask on is to protect somebody else. If anybody in your family died, and I have a family of 214, that's the immediate family. Out of that, we had 26 people who had the virus. Thank God, most of them were young. But God bless my sister-in-law, 101 days. She was in the hospital on vents and so on. She's home. But that isn't the case for a lot of other people that we know. They die. The common courtesy, all it is, common courtesy. But I'll tell you what, I want to congratulate the organizations in Austintown. We get a lot of press in Austintown, in case you haven't seen the newspaper. We have a lot of our organizations, the Rotary, the Kiwanis, the Junior League, and so on, all of them doing great things, and they are smart enough to be able to put them into the paper so that we get some knowledge. It makes Austintown look good. The last thing I want to talk about is I feel so sorry right now. I was a teacher for 37 years. I feel so sorry for the school systems right now, everywhere. Education over the line is possible, but it's not practical. But what to do to keep the safety of the people there? Those kids, God bless them, can maybe get through the system. But if they get it, they can pass it around to everybody else. So I admire the Board of Education and the superintendent and everyone there trying to come up with some idea of how to open the schools. But to mandate you open things without dictating what should be done is a poor thing for government agencies. We don't open things until we tell you what we want to do. So before they open the schools, let the state be the ones who dictate what has to be going on with them. Because then the regulations can be followed by other people. We follow the Department of Education for the subject matter, for the requirements for your education in the state of Ohio. The Board of Education in the state of Ohio should make the rules as to what the school does. If they can't, then don't do it. Sorry, that's I'm glad there's a camera here today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The only thing I wanted to simply speak about, there's been a lot going on with issues with law enforcement and racism in the country. A lot has been talked about with protests, equality issues, and I got an opportunity to attend with Chief Gavalier a meeting at New Bethel Baptist Church that was hosted last month. And just want to simply speak about this, and I felt it was important to talk about it because I got to tell you, I was not more proud to be a trustee in Austintown than to be represented by Chief Cavalier at that meeting. Chief, I commend you for your attendance at that meeting, number one, and realizing that racism is a real issue, and that it is something that we need to address here in Austintown, and we have done that. And to see you there, to answer their questions, and you were there with all of the statistics, all of the facts, and all of our policies and procedures that we already had in place. Number one, to protect our residents in this community that are of different races, ethnicities, men, women, whatever they are. We've addressed that through our policies and procedures to protect those people and also to protect people that come from different communities. Our chief, when body cameras came out, our chief saw and had a desire, number one, to once again protect the residents, protect the people that our officers were stopping, but number two, also to protect our officers. We've had officers exonerated by those body cameras and claims made against our officers. But this is a gentleman, and also I don't give him all the credit because he's got a great staff over there, guys that have done a great job, men and women, that understand why we've got to have body cameras, why we have to have policies and procedures. You may have heard them talking about in the newspapers and talking about on television about a collaborative. Our policies and procedures, when that collaborative came out, already had us ahead and at the forefront of things, that we are one of 5 entities in Mahoney County. There are 22 law enforcement departments. The Mahoney County Sheriff's Office and Jerry Green. Sheriff Green does an excellent job. Beaver Township, New Springfield, and also Jackson Township are the 5 departments that meet all the requirements of that collaborative through our policies and procedures that are in place. To speak with the chief, and I asked him for a lot of details when this all took place because I wanted to make sure that all our I's were dotted and T's were crossed. And to hear just even the different departments that call requesting information about our procedures and how we put policies into place and why we have policies in place, it really addresses the issue. Now, if you want me to sit here and tell you that there's not bad eggs in every department, we would be ignorant. And we realize that. And that's why we have these policies in place, so that we, if we do have a bad egg, we can weed them out and that we can have procedures to get rid of those bad eggs. And I can tell you, we've had people come here to work and then they've not made probation because they don't like our policies. They don't want to follow our procedures. Well, I'm sorry, there's the door. We hold our officers to a different standard. And I think it's really important to understand that there's going to be more meetings at New Bethel Baptist Church. We're going to continue to attend them. But once again, we want people to know we have an open door here. We've extended the offer while we were there at that meeting for individuals to come here and talk to us. And I publicly want to say that, I'm not going to tell you that maybe somebody hasn't been profiled in our community. I can't say that they have or have not because I've not heard the complaint. If you have a complaint, what we want to know and what we said at that meeting was that if we don't know about it, there's nothing we can do about it. So if you feel that there is something wrong, I think that gentleman over there has made a gallant effort in showing that we are here to say, hey, listen, this is the way we operate. We operate above board, and we want to continue that track record of success. So please, if you do have a complaint, we want to hear it. Obviously, please come to, if you feel comfortable going to the chief or to one of our board members, our door is always open. But I will tell you, I couldn't have been more proud of Chief Cavalier and the men and women of our law enforcement community because they've done an excellent job. And I thank you guys for everything you've done. So thank you, Chief.
Don't ask for a raise.
Yeah, please don't. With that being said,
Trustee Davis,
yes.
before you make your motion go into executive session, Mr. Edwards indicated that Boardman did collect something through urban home rule So I did text them and I got a response back. We get a bulk check from the court that's not broken out. I said, how much? Varies between $6,400 and $7,500 every few months, which I guess would indicate what you're talking about.
I'm saying you could increase it by immense, yes.
Well, yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't believe that was in the enabling legislation, but I haven't read that since 1999. Yeah, they're getting something due to home rule.
I'm aware of that.
Mr. Edgar, I think you have our commitment to look into it and address it. You know, we're certainly going to look into these things, and Trustee Carano has said that, you know, he wants to read up on it.
Thank you.
I'd be happy to even meet with you as well to learn as much as we possibly can about it, absolutely. So, and Darren, if you can get more of that information from Boardman, if you have access
Yeah,
to
there's
it.
I roughly know what they're paying for the prosecutor. I know when we adopted it, the only revenue we could collect was through civil fines. But, you know, that was 20 years ago, and it may have changed since then.
Things change daily nowadays, so if it happened 20 years ago, it's probably changed. So,
Yeah.
all right. With that being said, if we can, we would ask for motion to recess to executive session for the following: to consider the appointment, employment, discipline, or compensation of public employees, preparing for, conducting, or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Carano?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Ken?
Yes.
In association with Austintown Local Schools and Austintown Township.